Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your TNA results and spoilers for this month. Hopefully I can get them all in about an hour's time. So y'all get tired of listening to me ramble around. Well, anyways, happy birthday goes to WWE wrestler Santino Marella, turned 35 years old March 14th. And WCW former WWE wrestler Bryan turned 50 years old. He was born March 14th, 1964. Marella was born in '79. Former ECW talent Beulah McGillicutty, that's Trissa Laughlin, turned 45 years old. She was born also on March 14th, 1969. She was still married to Tommy Dreamer, and the couple has twins and recently had twin daughters. In fact, the twins appeared on The Sopranos season 6 episode, The Ride, as Tony Soprano's baby niece. Former WWE developmental talent Brett dibiase turned 26 years old. And Ken Doane turned 28. Steve Armstrong turned 49. And Henry Godwinn turned 50. Kayfabe Kickout interview with Miss Natural, Heather Patera, the daughter of Ken Patera, former Olympian, hosted by Richard Boudreau. Interview available at this link. Or you can go to kayfabe.kickout.com and look for it. Heather spoke on whether it's vital for female pro wrestlers to have a certain look to be more important than having raw wrestling talent. I think WWE has forced people to think women should look a certain way, like a diva. Some of the best talent I've seen is a diva quality. Tattoos, piercings, and a few extra pounds. Mohawks, you name it, these women are themselves. When they walk out walk out behind that curtain, gives a fan something different than a 115-pound cookie cutter half wrestler. Shoot, I'm sitting at about 205 myself. I'm 5'10". Actually, I'm 5'11" and a half. Definitely not your typical female wrestler. These women are mixed, have mixed lifestyles and amazing talent. I love Shimmer for that, and they are not cookie cutters as well. It's based on raw talent alone, not looks. Heather also said her inspirations were to get into professional wrestling. Honestly, there wasn't a female influence. I mean, it was cool to see women do it, but none of them inspired me. I was inspired by the men, my dad, Mr. Perfect, Rick Rude, and Nick Bockwinkel, etc. Heather spoke on what it was like during the UK women's wrestling legend, working with the legend Sarah Knight. Her and I have tagged twice together at AAW, based in Chicago. Love her. She reminds me of me and my dad. No bullshit. She tells you how she feels and lays it out there. Honesty in this business is rare to find. I love watching her matches, just old school brawling. And then you got the TNA episode of this past week on the 13th of On Spike TV, airing from Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida. It started off backstage with Ethan Carter, Bromance, and Rockstar Spud, all walking up on Bobby Roode and blaming him for what happened on their pay-per-view. Roode told Carter to blame on his aunt because her influence policy, Bully Ray, or insurance policy, Bully Ray screwed them. Roode then said, since Dixie wasn't there to take responsibility, they should punish the insurance policy. Then the video recapped the two terrible main events for Lockdown. Mike Tenay and Taz checked in on commentary. MVP made his ring entrance and put over his team's win and taking over wrestling operations. MVP said Bully Ray would explain later why he did what he did. MVP said his approach to wrestling operations was to motivate the talent, validate what they do, and participate if they give him a hard time. Magnus's music interrupts. Kurt cut him off and made his ring entrance. Crowd goes wild. As Magnus said, the MVP principle was a joke. MVP asked if it was more of a joke than his title run. The fans finally started a "You Suck" chant to give Magnus a little heat. Magnus said Dixie dropped the ball, kicked it through the uprights when he retained the title. He said he was more powerful than ever. and introduced his new insurance policy, Abyss. We never heard the term insurance policy the whole time Direct Auto was a sponsor, and now we get it twice in 8 minutes. Abyss made its entrance and had a new look. It looked like a Romulan on Halloween. The crowd chanted, "You sold out." As Magnus said, he agreed. He said he didn't look at Abyss as a freak like Jim Mitchell or Eric Young did. He said Abyss was a powerhouse and he was motivated by money too. Magnus said they had all that in common. MVP says Magnus was getting his English ass kicked until he pulled the monster literally out of his ass. No, it was not literally. As MVP said, he couldn't continue until he brought out the #1 contender, Samoa Joe. Joe then made his entrance, selling his ribs and gut hurting. Joe meekly stood there. As MVP said, Joe wasn't killing them because he believed in the MVP principle and knew MVP would do the right thing. He announced Magnus versus Joe for the title for next week as we get and Joe versus Abyss right now. Well, Magnus has absolutely no heat, no heat at all from the crowd. It was go away heat. Then there was nothing. They have completely ruined him, and his title run completely meaningless. Abyss looks stupid with his new mask. This is not great. A great way to start the show. And sorry about the literally thing. It's a pet peeve. Hardcore Road Trip has announced hostile effing takeover Toronto for June 1st, 2014 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Homicide, Petey Williams, Tristan York, Ring of Honor, Jimmy Jacobs, and more are scheduled to appear. Get the tickets at Hardcore Road Trip. I'll post them in hardcoreroadtrip.ca hostile effing takeover Toronto. One half of the current Ring of Honor Tag Team and IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, Matt Jackson, turned 29 years old. Matt, along with his brother Nick, are the young bucks on the indie scene and formerly in TNA, but wrestled as Generation Me. Former WWE star Chest, a.k.a. Andrew Martin, was found dead on this day in 2009 of an accidental overdose of oxycodone. Martin was believed to have died the day before, but wasn't discovered until the next day. Autopsy revealed he suffered from a chronic traumatic brain injury, the same injury that Chris Benoit was diagnosed after his death. Hall of Famer Arnold Scotland died on this day in 2007 at the age of 82. Scotland was the manager of both Bruno Sammartino and Bob Backlund when both men were Worldwide Wrestling Federation champion in the 70s and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1994. ESPN Classic had a 2-hour block of global supercard beginning at 11 p.m. Central Time, and there were no listings for the show. Okay, back to the results. Samoa Joe in the match versus Abyss. MVP called for the bell and Joe attacked. Abyss was in control after the break. As Tenay and Taz talked about the debuting Brittany and Dixie's meltdown after lockdown, Joe started his comeback, and Abyss shut it down and got Janice from out from underneath the ring. Eli ran out, hit the missile drop kick on Abyss for the save and for the disqualification. Samoa Joe won the match in 9 minutes 16 seconds. Samoa Joe won. Actually, Abyss won by disqualification. Abyss took a few moves and then rolled to the floor, stared off at EY. Backstage, Jeremy Borash was waiting for Bully Ray. He looked off screen and asked what that person was doing there. Angelina Love walked on screen and asked JB if he missed her before sashaying off as they go into a commercial. Well, hello there, Angelina. It's cool to see you back. And she won't hurt things, but talent is not the problem with the knockouts. The storytelling is. I'm so over EY and Abyss at this point, and I'm not sure what to say. The ship sailed long ago, and I have no desire to see that continue. Backstage segment, Jeremy Borash was still looking for Ray when the camera spun to Willow, who cut his weird-ass promo. Brittany made her ring entrance as a video introduced her, and she put over Madison Rayne as her influence. Gail Kim was out next. Match number 2, Brittany versus Gail Kim with Lady Tapa. This match was a melee that was happening. As Gail dropped Brittany at the bell, Brittany fought back and Tapa tried to interfere, but hit Kim instead. For some reason, the ref allowed the match to continue. Brittany rolled Kim up for the win in a 2-minute and 1-second match. After the match, Kim shoved Tapa. Tapa shoved her down in a brawl, with Tapa getting the best of that until the ref came out to break that up. And then they cut backstage with the Bully Ray arriving, and Spud said he was going to pay for what happened. Bromance and EC3 attacked him from behind and beat him down. Rube walked up and yelled at Ray while Spud choked him with his own chain. And Rube finished it by hitting him with a whiteboard while screaming that no one screws Bobby Roode as they go to another commercial. A very lackluster debut for Brittany, and her win was instantly forgotten once the brawl between Kim and Tapa started. Way to bury a girl on her way in. Also, reporters and members already knew Angelina Love was returning because from the website, don't miss out on any more insider news. DJ Z annoyance and the crowd before introducing the bromance. Tigre Uno and new X Division champion Sonata made their ring entrance, and a video showed Great Muta telling Sonata that he represented all of the Japanese wrestling industry. No pressure there. So we get the bromance versus Tigre Uno and Sonata. Bromance got in a second of offense, and then it was all Uno and Sonata. Sonata hit a moonsault for the win. Tigre Uno and Sonata defeated bromance in 2 minutes 46 seconds. Too bad it wasn't for the title. Backstage, Bully recovered and picked up his chain as they got a commercial. Would you randomly put Tigre Uno and Sonata together, especially when you need to get Sonata over as your undercard champion? What a weird booking decision. Backstage, Madison and Velvet talked about Madison and Madison asked what they were going to do about Angelina. Velvet was surprised. Backstage it was Madison and Velvet, and as they talked about what they were going to do with Angelina, Velvet was surprised to hear that she was back. Romance complained in their locker room about losing, as Ray walked in and beat the shit out of all of them and calmly walked out. Backstage, Sam Shaw thanked someone off camera for helping him at lockdown. He said, "You inspired me, Christy," and asked her to accompany him to the ring tonight when he ends Ken Anderson. Then we see the cameraman at the point and asked if he had a problem as he closed on the camera. Willow was shown in the rafters. EC3 and Spud got ready to honor Dixie and revealed a giant picture of her. We got a commercial. A lot of talking. Madison knowing and Velvet not was weird. Ray beating up Romance was a cool visual, as Sam Shaw is still just plain weird. And the giant Dixie poster made me roll my eyes. This ceremony is probably going to be pretty bad. Backstage, I went to my own commercial break, went to the bathroom. Backstage, Joe fought EY and chewed him out for interfering in his match and told him to stay out of his business. EY said this was his fault and he was going to fix it. Joe told him to go ahead. EY said he already talked to MVP and he would be chained to Abyss next week while Joe faced Magnus. And then we get EC3 and Spud making their entrance. And still photos recapping Ray's babyface turn and MVP's win at lockdown. Spud came out with a whining promo about Dixie not being there anymore. The crowd chanted Dixie's lapdog and boring. He called EC3 a beautiful and supple young man. He said something about Dixie picking him up like a baby Jesus or something. It was a crazy promo. He started crying and then thanked Dixie. A Dixie hyping video aired. Spud started quoting lines from Look Away Dixieland. MVP's music cut him off and he came to the ring. MVP said this was ridiculous, But he was impressed how loyal Spud was to Dixie, and he could use a guy like him on the roster. Spud said he couldn't be a wrestler because he was chief of staff. MVP then said Spud wasn't that anymore. He had to be a wrestler. Spud said the guys in the back, even some of the knockouts, were bigger than him. MVP then talked Spud up, and Spud agreed to a match. MVP said it was with Willow. Spud freaked out and EC3 laughed. MVP called him C3PO and said next week he would face this man, Bobby Lashley. Lashley made his entrance and EC3 said Lashley wasn't on the roster. MVP said that was true. Well, that's why his first official move was to sign Lashley. Spud went crazy and poked at Lashley. Lashley took the giant Dixie poster and knocked Spud down with it. Spud then grabbed it and cuddled with it. Lashley and EC3 stared off until Lashley's face changed and EC3 ran away. Jeremy Borash interviewed EC3 as he came through the curtain. EC3 said he was going to destroy Lashley's knee like he did Angle's, and then Ray attacked out of nowhere and then beat him to death with a piece of cardboard. As they cut to a commercial, that was a terrible segment. All of it. Spud was humorous to some degree, but the rest was just boring as Ray's cardboard coming apart to show that it was cardboard was tragic. EC3 versus Lashley is a bad idea. You know it's going to be a squash match as Carter is still trying to establish himself in the ring, and Lashley needs to reestablish himself. Neither man needs a cheap win or a loss there. Both need clean wins. Well, Sam Shaw started to make his entrance and then went back for his mannequin. Anderson made his entrance next, and then Shaw attacked him before Anderson could do his entrance gimmick. And then that matches up, and it's a street fight. Shaw had early control as they fought to the ring. Anderson fought back and started playing with the mannequin. Shaw freaks out. Anderson threw the mannequin at him and hit him with a mic check off the distraction for the win. And the match only took 3 minutes 54 seconds. After the match, Anderson did his announcing gimmick. You know, one from the ceiling, back gimmick. Repeated his name in the mannequin's face. Backstage, Angela Love told the cameramen that they were about to find out why she was back. And they cut the commercial. So you job out your new creepy heel character in a sub 4 minute street fight? Whatever. Nobody in this company has any idea how to book heels. And this could be the fall of TNA. The announced team hyped the upcoming tour with a pre-show headlining by the Heels. Another Willow segment, I guess. Played, he just walked with music and playing to the camera, blurring around the edges, and a Kenny King video airing. Angela Love made her entrance, and she said she thought she might never hear that music again, but it was great to be back home in TNA. And then she said she had grown wiser while she was gone. She said her dad told her, "You don't know what you've got till it's gone." Okay, those weren't the exact words, but that's the same idea that I got. You know, I like her metal music. Angela said she didn't understand that, but she does now, and called out Velvet Sky. Velvet made her entrance and hugged Angelina. Angelina said that she wanted to get the beautiful people back together. Velvet said she had to think about it. Angelina asked what the problem was. Velvet said she just needed more time as Bully Ray walked around backstage. Willow did too as they cut to commercial. Started out okay and then jumped the track bad. The fans just sat there, and Velvet's answer really didn't make any sense. I think I need to go back and watch that because it sure does feel like something was missing there. Spud was in the ring next as Willow made his entrance, so it looks like they have a match, and the camera had effects in it during the entrance. Rockstar Spud versus Willow. Willow tied Spud in a tree of woe and got his umbrella. He hit Spud in the nuts, causing the disqualification. Rockstar Spud defeated Willow by disqualification in 2 minutes 24 seconds. Willow hit the twist of fate on the ref and put a chair and a ladder in the ring. He hits a suplex on Spud. put the leg in the chair and stomped on it, followed by a leg drop off the top rope. Willow started to leave as Ray made his entrance. They looked at each other and then continued on their path. The Willow character still makes no sense. Spud also comes across slightly sympathetic. I'm not sure that was what they were trying to do there, but they're going for part of it. How Taz called it, part of it was a shitty crowd. Ray cut a promo saying he woke up when Anderson gave him a mic check into the coffin. He said he was going to explain himself, but all these guys made it physical. He said he saved Rude from himself because if Rude had won, he would have turned into another Dixie Carter in wrestling. Didn't need another Dixie. He said he took care of Rude's boys, and now he wanted to fight him. Rude sat in the ring and beat Ray down momentarily as Ray stepped aside, set up a table, and Rude hit the spine buster. Rude lifted him up for the Rude bomb, but Ray escaped and hit him a power bomb through the table. I had faith in Bully Ray to explain why he turned, and it appeared my faith was misplaced. He really didn't explain anything, and he just beat down Rude, so we have no reason to ever care again. It's just bad booking on an elementary level. I truly don't understand why they keep making the same mistakes over and over. Overall, a very disappointing episode of Impact. Lockdown stupidity was either compounded or not addressed. The good things about Lockdown were barely covered, and I don't feel like we are one step closer to seeing what matches we will get on the next pay-per-view, which is only a month away. Sacfrifice pay-per-view poster features the Willow character, which you can catch it at the link. I might try and post it at the end of the video. A new trailer for the film Prowrestlers vs. Zombies has been released. Also to that link. PunchDrunkCritics.com. The website there's to look for it. The article. Please note that there is an NSFW language and images in the trailer. The film stars Roddy Piper, Kurt Angle, Shane Douglas, Jim Duggan, Matt Hardy, and Reby Sky. And I've just been recently told as of yesterday that Reby also has some Playboy spread coming out. Already has. Also, several additional wrestlers involved. You can find a list at IMDb. The story notes that pre-orders for the DVD will be released next month. And the TNA broadcast team more or less told Lockdown viewers that it was Hardy when the character debuted on Sunday night. On the pay-per-view, we'll get a better feel for how it's going to be positioned. But at first glance, it seems very odd to book the biggest name in the company under a new gimmick and name. It's worth noting that the poster was released prior to the Lockdown pay-per-view anyway. Partial results for the March 20th and 27th show from March 15th. Where have I got the news? From Orlando, Florida. The following matches and segments were taped for the 20th. Part 1, Angelina Love and Velvet Sky hugged, and Angelina called out Madison Rayne, mocked her, and offered her a spot back. Madison declined to be part of the beautiful people. Not much of a segment there. Blowman defeated the Wolves in the first match, and Sonata and Tigre Uno in a non-title three-way tag. Billy Ray cut a promo and brawled with Bobby Roode. Match number 2, Magnus defeated Samoa Joe to retain the TNA title with Abyss and MVP handcuffed at ringside. Abyss threw a chair at Joe, allowing Magnus to hit his finisher for the win. Part 2 was taped on the next day, on the March 20th edition. And this was from WrestlingNewsWorld.com. Dark segment, Bully Ray came out with a mic. He asked fans who wanted to see him put through a table, specifically Bobby Roode. The loudest fans to cheer will be able to help him bring Ray's table to the ring. Angelina Love came out for a promo and talked about it's been a week and called out Velvet Sky, who come to the ring. Velvet talked about she owes a lot to Angelina. She also mentioned the bad times. Angelina really wanted them to be friends again and said the fans wanted too. They ended up hugging. Angelina says that they were missing a third piece and asked Madison Rayne to come out. Angelina tells Madison that she was a part of the beautiful people and offered her a spot. She says all three of their names were names, but didn't say Madison's respectfully. Madison said Angelina always treated her with disrespect. And Love said Madison at the time needed to pay her dues. Rain said that she did all of Love's dirty work and she likes Velvet, but she is not interested anymore and is out. Non-title triple threat match was up next. Bromance defeated Sonata, Tigre, Uno, and the Wolves by pinfall on Uno following a heart attack. Before the match, Bromance told Uno and Sonata to lay down for them, but they said no. And DJ Zima distracted Sonata by taking his X title for the distraction at one point. Bully Ray came out and had tables in the ring. He said he is the one who made sure Dixie is no longer in charge. Crowd chanted, "Thank you, Bully." He spoke about how Dixie came to him and offered money and her womanly ways to him. And he said no. He said she almost had him with a stake. Well, he told Bobby Roode the last thing that they need is another owner like Dixie. He asked how many fans want to see Roode go through some tables. As Roode comes out, Roode said Ray does not scare him. The guy Ray screwed over does not exist anymore, and said he is the guy who was the longest reigning and most dominant champion in TNA history. Patted Dixie's face before it was cool and said he was the one who tricked Ray into flying to the corporate office in Nashville last week. He asked the crowd if they know who he was. Ray wanted to fight. Roode said he doesn't call the shots. Ray said he does, and the fans say now. Roode said it isn't going to happen and leaves. Ray goes after him and puts him on a table at ringside, but Roode moves. Ray continues to attack him when they went into the ring. And Ray went for a running boot on Roode through a table but missed. Ray then went for a powerbomb through one. Roode evaded and then went for a spear on Roode through another table. But Roode moved again and Ray put himself to a table. In a TNA World Heavyweight title match, Magnus defeated Samoa Joe. They had Abyss and MVP handcuffed to each other for the match at ringside. Ref got KO'd, and then Abyss and MVP got in a brawl around ringside. Abyss got taxed rolling in the ring. MVP unhandcuffed himself after laying out Abyss and tossed in the tax. Abyss went after MVP, and Joe attempted to dive on Abyss, but Abyss threw a chair at Joe's face. Magnus followed up with a top rope elbow drop for the win. And now for the following the matches that were taped for March 27th, Part 1. MVP announced Magnus versus Samoa Joe versus Abyss in a three-way dance for the TNA title for the next show. Then it appeared to become Magnus versus Joe versus Abyss versus Eric Young in a four-way. Match number 1, Gunner defeated James Storm in a no count out and no DQ match. Angelina Love of Velvet Sky talked again. Love talked down to Sky and said she would be facing Madison in a ladder. Madison much later in the show. Match number 2, the Wolves defeated Abyss and Magnus. Magnus tapped out, and Abyss left the ring with the TNA title in his hand. And here's the spoiler for the March 27th edition of Impact, courtesy of WrestlingNewsWorld.com, Part 2. MVP came out for a promo. He said that when he came here, he had the intention that every wrestler would rise and fall based solely on their talent and ability. A great man once said that the cream always rises to the top. He said it was time to make an executive decision, and Magnus and Abyss came out. Magnus said before he does anything rash that Abyss has 100% legitimate service contract to the champion, not TNA or MVP, meaning the only time his authority extends to Abyss is through him. MVP said he had the chance to see how strong Abyss is last week. MVP tells Abyss if he puts his hand on him, he will show a new side of him he doesn't want to see, and tells him that Magnus is manipulating him. He brings up the idea of a title shot to him. MVP said someone keeps getting shafted and sets up next week. Abyss will challenge Magnus for the #1 contender. And Samoa Joe will also challenge Magnus. As Joe comes out, he said he has only asked MVP for one thing, and that is for him to get a fair chance and an uninterrupted opportunity against Magnus. Joe then said now his rematch is a handicap match. Magnus said that they have their own problems to deal with, and with Joe attacking Magnus while MVP attacks Abyss, Eric Young then comes out and attacks Abyss. He and Joe clear the ring while MVP grabs the mic and says enough. Eric Young says he has the solution. He brought the monster out of Abyss and says he has to be the one to stop him. He does Magnus versus Joe for next week, and we get the title for the title now. And now he needs to put EY there. EY will take care of Abyss while Joe gets a match the way he wants to be. MVP says he doesn't think EY has earned it yet. EY says he talks about motivating, validate, and participate. And says motivate MVP has been here 10 minutes while he has been here 10 years and runs down everything he has been involved in. Validate mentions all the belts he has won. Participate, he has ran with every ball TNA has given him. He said he is a world-class professional wrestler and will fight. Joe says nobody is doubting him, but there is a line and he is not at the head of it. Joe still wants him one fair title shot until he gets what he wants. He gets nothing. MVP says he appreciates EY's passion and everything he has is true and inserts EY into the match. Joe was not very happy. And then he pie-faced EY. Then the two of them got in a brawl. Russ come out and separate them. And as MVP says, we have a match. Angelina Love then comes out and called out Velvet, asking what her problem was. They spoke about Madison, I assume. Something backstage happened that was not televised. Angelina Love was not kind to Madison and mentioned it will be her and Madison later while insulting Velvet. In a match billed as a no DQ, no count out, no rules, there must be a winner. Gunner defeated James Storm. The match also saw Gunner do a spear through the ropes, threw a table on the floor and a superplex through chairs. Storm hits 2 super kicks. Storm went for the wee bottle. Then Gunner had one for assault, one for Storm previously brought in the ring and hit him with it, followed up with a F5 for the win. The Wolves defeated Magnus in the best win. Eddie Edwards made Magnus tap out to a single leg crowd. Abyss walked away from the ring after the match, no selling, according to the report, and was done with the TNA title still around the shoulder. Tape from this last night, being Saturday night, probably for the episode from earlier about the Angelina Love defeating Madison Rain in a non-title match. Velvet was at ringside and slammed Madison on the floor when the referee wasn't looking for the win. Samoa Joe defeated Eric Young. Bobby Roode and Ethan Carter III defeated Willow and Billy Ray in a tables match. Jeff Hardy, Willow left to the back after drop kicking Rockstar's foot out of his wheelchair. Ray was double teamed and put through a table for the win. After the match, they put Ray through 2 more tables. And then more tapings for April 3rd episode, supposedly full episode results. Again from the Universal Studios in Orlando. Thanks to Eric who sent in the following spoilers. Magnus opened the show and called out Abyss. Abyss is dressed in a suit because Magnus ordered him to. Magnus suckers Abyss in like they're their friends until Eric Young runs in through the crowd. Magnus and Abyss ends up beating Young down until Samoa Joe made the save. Brittany approached Madison Rain backstage and offers her assistance as her tag team partner, apparently for a tag team match. The Beautiful People defeated Brittany and Madison, and they have a new theme, entrance, and matching gear. They double teamed Brittany and pinned her for the win. Gunner came out and talked about respecting veterans. He points out his father is in the front row. Gunner talks to his dad until James Storm comes out. Storm runs his mouth and Gunner nails him. Storm ended up super kicking Gunner and handcuffing him to the ropes. Storm knocks Gunner's dad down and smashes a beer bottle on his head. Mr. Anderson comes out with a straight jacket and calls Samuel Shaw to the ring. They have words and Anderson attacks. Anderson defeated Shaw by being the first one to get his opponent into the jacket and subdued. Kenny King made his return and interrupted Tigre Uno versus Amato for the X Division title before it started. King says the X Division needs him, and out comes MVP. They have words, and King wants a match against MVP. MVP says there's no room for tonight, and King gets in his face before pushing him down. Then MVP accepted his challenge. Sonata defeated Tigre Uno with the X Division title on the line. And so he retains, and MVP and Kenny King fought to a no contest in an exhibition match. Apparently that was your main event, as they brawled until security and referees had to separate them. But it wasn't. It was not the main event. Magnus defeated Eric Young, Samoa Joe, and Abyss in a fatal four-way with the World Heavyweight title on the line. Joe ended up being taken to the back by referees after going down on the outside. Abyss had the match won, but Magnus talked him into not taking the pin on Young. Abyss hesitated, but went through it with it. And Magnus hit the finisher for the win and posed with Abyss to end the show. So we still have Magnus as the champion going into next month. Well, thanks for viewing. Peace out. That ends the episode, the spoilers, all the way up until April 3rd. Thanks again. Peace out.